Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak to you about something that touches the very core of our existence. The unmistakable signs that you have been chosen for a greater purpose. Some of you may be sitting here wondering, is there more to my life? Is there something greater I am meant to do? And I want to tell you today, yes, there is. You see, when God places his hand on you, he does not leave room for doubt. He calls you in a way that stirs your heart, even when the world around you tries to silence it. There's a voice deep inside that whispers, you were made for more. And though the noise of life may try to drown it out, that calling remains. Now listen to me, because this is important. Being chosen does not mean an easy path. Oh, no. In fact, the chosen ones are often the ones who walk through the fire. They face battles that others don't understand. They endure storms that seem unbearable. But let me tell you something. Those trials are not there to destroy you. They are there to refine you. They are shaping you into the person who can carry the weight of your calling. And here's another sign. You have an impact beyond yourself. When you speak, people listen. When you move, others follow. When you act in faith, doors open and lives change. You may not see it now, but those little moments, those words of encouragement, those acts of kindness, those steps of faith, they are shaping a destiny that is bigger than you. My friend, do not run from your calling. Do not let fear keep you from stepping into the purpose God has set before you. If you feel that pull in your heart, if you have walked through the fire and still stand, if you see the impact of your actions on others, you are chosen. Walk boldly, walk with faith, and trust that the one who called you will equip you. Because when you are chosen for a greater purpose, no force in this world can stop you from fulfilling it. An unshakable calling is more than just a feeling or an idea. It is a deep, relentless conviction that refuses to be silenced. It is an internal pull towards something greater than oneself, a force that cannot be ignored no matter how much one tries to resist it. This calling is not a passing thought or a fleeting desire. It is a persistent voice that speaks to the very core of a person's soul. It is the realization that there is something you must do, something that has been placed within you, something that is not just for you, but for the world around you. It is the sense that you have been chosen, that your life has a greater meaning, and that you are meant to walk a path that is uniquely yours. People who experience an unshakable calling often find themselves feeling different from those around them. They may not fit in with the crowd, not because they are incapable of blending in, but because something inside them tells them they were never meant to. They may struggle with feelings of restlessness, sensing that there is more to life than what they are currently experiencing. While others may be content with a routine existence, those with an unshakable calling find that no amount of success, comfort, or security can satisfy the hunger within them. It is not that they are ungrateful for what they have, but rather that they know deep down they were made for more. This calling is not self-imposed. It is something that seems to have been imprinted on their very being, as though they were designed for a specific purpose that is waiting to be fulfilled. The experience of having an unshakable calling is often accompanied by moments of doubt, yet no amount of uncertainty can fully extinguish the fire within. There may be times when the road seems too difficult, when obstacles arise, when fear whispers that the calling is nothing more than an illusion. Yet even in those moments, the calling remains. It resurfaces in unexpected ways. Through a conversation, a dream, a moment of quiet reflection, it reminds the person that they cannot simply walk away from what they were meant to do. No matter how far they try to run, they find themselves being drawn back to the same purpose, over and over again. Those who are chosen for something greater will often find that their calling does not always make sense to those around them. Friends, family, and society may question their path, They may be told to choose something easier, something safer, something more predictable. But an unshakable calling does not conform to the expectations of the world. It demands faith. It requires courage. It asks a person to step into the unknown, to trust in something greater than themselves, and to move forward even when the destination is not yet clear. Those who follow their calling must be willing to walk through seasons of uncertainty, knowing that their steps are being guided by a force that is beyond their own understanding. This calling does not always reveal itself in grand or dramatic ways. Sometimes it is a quiet knowing, a subtle tug on the heart, a gentle yet persistent nudge in a certain direction. It may begin as a thought that will not go away, an idea that keeps resurfacing, an urge to do something that may not seem logical but feels undeniably right. Over time, as a person listens to this voice and takes small steps of obedience, the calling becomes clearer. What once seemed like a vague sense of purpose begins to take shape, and the person begins to see how their life, experiences, and passions are all pointing toward something greater. An unshakable calling is often accompanied by a deep sense of responsibility. Those who have been chosen for something greater know that they cannot ignore their purpose without consequences. When they try to suppress it, they feel an internal discomfort, a sense of unease that will not go away. It is as though they are out of alignment with who they were meant to be. The longer they resist, the more they feel a growing sense of dissatisfaction. They may succeed in worldly terms, achieving career goals, financial stability, or social status, yet none of it brings them true fulfillment. This is because their soul knows what it was made for, and it will not allow them to settle for anything less. Another key characteristic of an unshakable calling is that it is not limited by circumstances. It is not dependent on background, resources, or qualifications. Many who have walked in their calling have faced significant obstacles: lack of support, financial hardship, personal struggles, and even failure. Yet none of these things have the power to cancel a true calling. In fact, the very challenges that seem like roadblocks often become the tools that prepare a person for their purpose. Struggles refine character. Hardships build resilience. And setbacks teach valuable lessons that are necessary for the journey ahead. Those who are called learn that their purpose is not something they create, it is something they discover, something that has been placed within them long before they ever recognized it. People with an unshakable calling also experience divine timing. There may be seasons where it feels like nothing is happening, where progress seems slow, where doors remain closed. Yet when the time is right, things begin to align in ways that cannot be explained. Opportunities appear, connections are made, resources come together, and the path that once seemed impossible suddenly becomes clear. This is not coincidence. It is confirmation. It is evidence that the calling was never just a personal ambition, but a part of a greater plan. Walking in an unshakable calling requires perseverance. There will be moments of discouragement, times of exhaustion, seasons of waiting. But those who are truly called will not give up. They may fall, but they will rise again. They may feel weak, but they will find strength. They may face rejection, but they will keep going. Their calling is not based on how they feel in the moment. It is anchored in something deeper, something eternal. Ultimately, those with an unshakable calling come to understand that their purpose is not about them alone. It is about the impact they are meant to have on the world. It is about the people they are meant to reach, the lives they are meant to touch, the change they are meant to bring. Their calling is bigger than their fears, bigger than their failures, bigger than their doubts. It is a divine assignment that cannot be ignored. They may not have all the answers. They may not see the full picture, but they trust that they were created for a reason, and they move forward with faith, knowing that their steps are ordered by something far greater than themselves. Trials are an inevitable part of life, But for those who are chosen for a greater purpose, they take on a deeper significance. They are not merely obstacles to endure. They are instruments of transformation. Every hardship, setback, and moment of pain serves a purpose far beyond what is immediately visible. These trials are not meant to destroy, but to refine, to mold a person into who they need to become in order to fulfill their calling. The weight of a great purpose requires a foundation strong enough to sustain it, and that strength is built through adversity. A person who is destined for something greater will often find themselves facing challenges that seem beyond their ability to bear. These difficulties may come in many forms: loss, failure, rejection, loneliness, financial struggles, or emotional battles. While others may seem to walk an easier path, those who are called for more will walk through the fire, tested in ways that seem unfair or even cruel. But these trials are not a sign of punishment. They are a sign of preparation. They strip away everything that is not essential, removing fear, pride, doubt, and distraction. They force a person to confront their weaknesses and discover strength they never knew they had. Many times, trials come when a person least expects them. They may feel as though they are on the right path, moving forward with faith, when suddenly everything seems to fall apart. The job is lost, the relationship ends, the dream crumbles, and it feels as though everything they believed in has been taken away. In these moments, doubt creeps in, whispering that perhaps they were never meant to pursue this path. But what they cannot see in that moment is that the breaking is part of the making. Every struggle is a chisel shaping them into someone who is not just willing but ready to step into their purpose. Endurance is built in the struggle. A person who never faces hardship will never develop resilience. A person who never experiences failure will never learn the lessons needed to handle success. The most powerful leaders, visionaries, and change makers are those who have walked through pain and emerged stronger. They have been tested in the fire and proven to be unshakable. They know what it means to fight through difficulties, and because of this, they are prepared to lead others through their own struggles. Their purpose is not just about themselves. It is about the impact they will have on the world. And that impact requires a depth of character that only trials can produce. One of the greatest challenges of trials is that they often come with silence. There are times when the struggle feels unbearable and no answer seems to come. It may feel as though prayers go unanswered, as though doors remain closed, as though hope is slipping away. But this silence is not abandonment. It is a test of faith. It is in these moments of uncertainty that trust is built. When a person continues to move forward despite not seeing the outcome, they develop a faith that cannot be shaken. They learn to rely not on their own understanding, but on the knowledge that something greater is at work, even when they cannot see it. Trials also reveal true intentions. When everything is stripped away, what remains is what truly matters. Some people pursue a purpose for the wrong reasons: status, recognition, personal gain. But hardship has a way of revealing whether someone is truly committed. If the purpose is not rooted in something deeper, the trials will cause them to turn away. But those who are truly chosen will not be deterred. They may struggle, they may question, they may even fall, but they will always rise again. Their trials become the very thing that strengthens their resolve. Through trials, a person gains wisdom. They learn what works and what does not. They develop discernment. knowing which paths to take and which to avoid. They understand people better, having experienced both kindness and betrayal. They become more compassionate, having walked through pain themselves. They recognize that the trials they endured were not just for their own growth, but to equip them to help others. The wisdom gained through suffering is not something that can be learned in books or through second-hand experience. It is something that must be lived, felt, and overcome. Another important aspect of trials is that they force a person to rely on something greater than themselves. When everything is easy, it is tempting to believe that success comes solely from personal effort. But when trials come, when strength runs out, when there seems to be no way forward, that is when true dependence is learned. Those who are chosen for a greater purpose come to understand that their calling is not something they can fulfill on their own. They need guidance, strength, and perseverance that go beyond their own abilities. And it is often in the lowest moments that they find that source of strength. Every great story of triumph has a chapter of struggle. Those who have accomplished the most, those who have left the greatest impact, have all walked through trials that shaped them. They were misunderstood. They faced rejection. They endured seasons of obscurity. But they did not give up. They trusted that the pain was part of the process, that the trials were not in vain. And in the end, they emerged not just with success, but with the depth, the character, and the strength needed to carry the weight of their purpose. No trial is wasted. Every hardship serves a purpose. The struggles, the disappointments, the losses, they are all part of a greater plan. They refine, they strengthen, they prepare. They do not define a person, but they reveal who they truly are. Those who are chosen for a greater purpose are not exempt from trials. They are shaped by them, and in the end, they come out stronger, wiser, and more prepared than ever to fulfill the calling placed upon their lives. The path of those chosen for a greater purpose does not end with personal success or fulfillment. It extends far beyond the individual, reaching into the lives of others, shaping communities, and influencing generations to come. The weight of such a calling is not carried for personal glory, but for the transformation of the world around them. Those who are truly chosen understand that their journey is not solely about their own growth, struggles, or achievements. Instead, they recognize that every step they take has a ripple effect that impacts people they may never even meet. A purpose of this magnitude demands a mindset that looks beyond self-interest. It requires a deep sense of responsibility, a commitment to something greater than comfort or personal gain. Many individuals throughout history who have walked in their calling did not do so with the intent of gaining recognition or praise. They were driven by a force beyond themselves, a conviction that would not allow them to remain idle when they knew they could make a difference. They endured hardships not for the sake of endurance, but because they understood that their struggles were preparing them to uplift others. One of the greatest marks of a higher calling is the realization that every victory is not just for oneself. When an individual overcomes obstacles, they pave the way for others to do the same. Their perseverance serves as a blueprint, a testimony that greatness is possible, even in the face of adversity. People who witness such resilience are inspired to push beyond their own limitations, to rise above their own struggles. This is how change spreads, not through isolated success, but through the courage of one person sparking the courage of another. There is also a responsibility that comes with being chosen. Those who step into their purpose must recognize that their words and actions carry weight. They become examples, whether they intend to or not. Their choices, their character, their way of handling both triumph and failure influence others. It is not enough to simply achieve. It is necessary to uplift, to guide, to be a beacon for those who are searching for direction. Many people feel lost, uncertain of their own path, and they look to those who have gone before them for guidance. The way one lives their purpose can either encourage others or discourage them. Legacy is not built on temporary success, but on lasting impact. It is not measured by wealth, status, or accolades, but by the lives that are changed. Many who have left the greatest marks on history were not necessarily the most famous or the most powerful. Instead, they were the ones who chose to use their gifts, their knowledge, and their experiences to pour into others. They understood that their influence did not end with them. It was meant to be passed down, to be shared, to multiply beyond what they could see in their lifetime. Often, people believe that impact is reserved for those in leadership positions or those with platforms that reach millions. But true impact is not determined by numbers. A single conversation, a single act of kindness, a single moment of encouragement can alter the course of another person's life. The ripple effect of small, consistent acts of purpose can extend further than anything done for personal recognition. Those who are chosen for a greater purpose do not measure their success by how much they have gained, but by how much they have given. Sacrifice is a common thread among those who leave a lasting impact. They understand that their purpose is not about seeking comfort or avoiding hardship. Instead, they embrace the challenges that come with making a difference. They willingly give their time, energy, and resources to something greater than themselves. They do not wait for the perfect conditions. They take action, even when it is inconvenient, even when it is costly. They recognize that the fulfillment of their calling requires a willingness to put others before themselves. The challenges that once seemed like personal burdens take on new meaning when viewed through the lens of impact. Pain is no longer just pain. It becomes a tool for empathy, a bridge to connect with those who are suffering. Struggles are no longer just obstacles. They become lessons that equip a person to guide others through similar battles. Failure is no longer just failure. It becomes a testimony of resilience, a lesson in perseverance. Those who are chosen see that their hardships were never just about them. They were preparing them to be a source of strength for others. One of the most powerful aspects of living with a greater purpose is the ability to inspire change in people who may never even express their gratitude. Some of the greatest leaders and visionaries never knew the full extent of their influence. They never saw the generations they impacted, the lives they shaped, the people who were transformed by their example. But they did not need to see it. They simply trusted that what they were doing mattered. They understood that their responsibility was to walk in their purpose, and the results would take care of themselves. For those who are chosen, the idea of